Good morning and welcome to Morning Glory, a ministry of encouragement from the Winnipeg Evangelical Free Church. And oh, what a glorious morning it is,
Indeed.
Right, Kurt?
Great morning.
Great morning. My name is Mark Grafe, and I'm host of this crazy podcast.
Yeah.
And I'm here joined by the extraordinary
Kurt Willems, co-host and producer.
And you know what, folks, I just have to say, so it's one thing to come up with an idea and then just kind of put it out there. And it's another thing to find someone who actually has the skills to put it all together. And Kurt, you're the money man. You know, you're making this happen. And so a big, huge thank you to you.
Absolutely. It's what I love to do. So
And you do it well.
thank you.
I love that intro. Have I told you that yet?
You told me once.
And I'll tell you again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't personally know that rooster. We're not sure where he came from, but a lively one it is.
It's a good rooster.
Yeah, and check those birds and everything. I'm just ready to tackle this day. How about you? We want to bring some encouragement to your day, and we're excited to do it. We're going to talk a little bit today about something that maybe hopefully you've experienced this summer already. Maybe you're looking forward to it. Maybe on a camping trip, maybe on your patio, your backyard oasis, your green, beautiful oasis in your backyard. I was sharply rebuked on a day this past week, Kurt. And I was in my usual energy. Actually, it was after a men's prayer meeting that we have here every Tuesday morning, and just praying together with the guys got me. I was pumped up. I was pumped up. And that's first thing in the morning. I come into the kitchen and I'm just bouncing off the walls. I'm just like this, yeah, woo, and just a whirlwind. And my wife and my youngest daughter are like, Dad, whoa. Settle down.
Simmer down.
We're just trying to get our brains into gear here. And all this buzz that's going on here just needs to make it just, please, relax.
Is this a common occurrence where you're asked to cool it a little bit?
You know, my energy levels seldom match those around me. But I am learning. It's part of the maturing process to, turn it on, turn it off when appropriate. But it can get the best of me sometimes. Mm-hmm. Woo! Far. Can you hear me now? Far away. Near. Just stuff like that. I just have a lot of fun. So, hey, my friends, I hope you're having a good day. You're off to a good start. Mm-hmm. One morning experience, talking about calmness, right, was at school on the escarpment of the world's longest valley. Mm-hmm. Do you know what it is? They don't want to give me an answer. How about you, Kurt? Do you know what the world's longest valley is?
Could it be the Great Rift
Valley? Yes, that's right. Woo!
Nice.
Give it up.
I've been there.
You have been to the Great Rift Valley. What were your impressions of the Great Rift Valley?
It's magnificent.
Yes.
It's great.
It is. It's quite something. Coming down from the kind of the Red Sea, actually, and then all along the eastern side of Africa, and cutting its way down to even, I think, as far as South Africa. Now, it's been a while since I've looked that up, to be precise. And I should say, any of the facts and items that we throw out there,
double check.
They should be fact checked, and we'll happily, be corrected.
Maybe we should hire a fact checker.
We should. Anyone want to be our fact checker? Fact check the facts, and not. I know some of you are thinking the fax machine, right? That's not what we're talking about. Do you even know what a fax machine is, Kurt?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just on the edge of some of that old technology.
Okay. Anyway, we're gonna be through the morning, and we haven't even talked what we talked about. Anyway, so the edge of the Rift Valley, and or on the escarpment, and the fog would roll down from the top and along the edge and down into the valley, and I love the fog. You know, on a morning in Africa or in Kenya where we were in the Rift Valley, um, the heat of the day, and then you experience this fog in the morning, and it was so thick. Like from me to the camera away, to our listener, there's a buzzing going on. We'll hope it's not important. Anyway, and it's just so thick, and it quiets everything down. It's actually like I would equate it to here in Winnipeg in the winter, in a January or February, probably more likely a February snowfall. And the snow just falls down, and there might be 10 centimeters of snow. And the city that usually has a buzz to it just all of a sudden goes quiet. And you can actually hear birds sleeping. That's how quiet it is. Yeah.
It's pretty quiet.
Yeah. You can hear the raccoons, the foxes stirring in their dens, breathing,
Snoring.
It's so quiet. Anyway, the fog. You know what happens when there's fog that is impossible to have when there's fog? Is what? What's your wildest guess? What can you not have when there's fog?
Wind.
Like seriously, do you have to be so smart? Couldn't you like say like some other stuff?
I was
like,
trying to think of something clever. wasn't coming to me.
Yeah, like wind, exactly. You cannot have fog and it be windy at the same time. Those are two things. It's like either it's windy or you don't have fog. Or if you have fog, it's going to be calm. I love those calm mornings. When you can, even you're, sitting on the patio, I'm having my coffee or wherever, adjusting to the morning, enjoying its serenity, and it's calm. The leaves aren't even stirring, and you can hear the tss, 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 tss. What am I hearing?
Chipmunk?
No.
Squirrel?
Yeah, that's right. Okay, now you're being smart. The sprinkler, and it's just so calm. You know what? Yeah, I find even like, so you have calm, but my daughter came home and she's like, "Dad, I know exactly what you mean about the wind." What is your relationship like with the wind?
Sometimes it gives me a headache.
Okay, yeah.
The wind going in your ears.
Yeah.
It's not a fun thing.
And not, yeah, exactly. Do you know what a lazy wind is?
A lazy wind? No, not really.
It's what the Maritimers call a lazy wind. A lazy wind is one that doesn't want to go around you, just wants to go through you. That's what they say. That's a lazy wind. When it's windy, I get mad. I'm sorry. It's true. It just like, and it just puts me on edge. So it gives you a headache, and it arouses my anger. Okay, back to the comments. But you know what? You've been doing some research, and I want to get into that because God has lots to say in His Word about the wind, actually. And so take us through some of the scripture that you've been reading, some of the stories, and remind us who is in charge.
All right.
Would you do that?
I would love to.
Okay, perfect.
Well, in the Old Testament, God is often described as kind of commanding the winds, and not just wind, but like all of nature, really. But there's some specific examples of God using the wind for His purposes.
Okay.
Such as the story of Noah.
Noah.
in Genesis.
Okay.
God brings the flood waters, and then Genesis 8, verse 1. But God remembered Noah and all the beasts and all the cattle that were with him in the ark. And God caused a wind to pass over the earth, and the water subsided.
The water subsided. You know what I like about that? That God remembered Noah. And then, of course, he caused the wind. How did you write?
God caused a wind
Caused
to
the
pass
wind.
over the earth.
Right. And dry it up. And the waters receded.
Yeah.
Huh. Cool. That's a good one.
Yeah. Another example is Moses and the Israelites in Egypt, Exodus 10, verse 13 to 14.
Okay.
So Moses stretched out his staff over the land of Egypt, and the Lord directed an east wind on the land all that day and all that night. And when it was morning, the east wind brought the locusts.
Not the locusts. What those terrible pests.
The locusts came up all over all the land of Egypt and settled in all that territory of Egypt. They were very numerous. There had never been so many locusts, nor would there be so many again.
Oh, so God used the wind there as a demonstration of his authority over nature, and he used it to bring in these locusts, which, according to some recent study of mine, is a big deal. Like locusts getting everywhere, like I can't imagine. I cannot imagine, having locusts destroy everything. Like they're relentless, like leaving everything green. Anyway, so God used the wind to bring these pests.
Yeah.
Like even more than pests, not like a little poke in the ribs, like someone trying to knock your knees out all the time. That's like, okay.
That reminds me of I would do some trips to Saskatchewan to visit family, and during the drought years back, there were so many grasshoppers.
Oh yeah. Grasshopper. Tell me.
And you'd go for a bike ride,
Yeah.
and you just have grasshoppers flying in your face and hit your legs, and what a pain.
You know what? That's why bikers wear those bandanas over their mouth. I finally realized. It took me a long time to realize, what is that? Just cool? No, so it's like a grasshopper. It's kind of a filter. Yeah.
Grasshopper filter.
Yeah, so you don't get all the bugs in your mouth. Good job, bikers.
Another example with Moses and the Israelites at the Red Sea. Popular story.
Tied to the Rift Valley.
Exodus 14, then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord swept the sea back by a strong east wind all night and turned the sea into dry land.
It's crazy.
So the waters were divided.
Whoa. Like that's amazing that God used that wind to separate the waters there. But really stands out to me in that story is that the people walked through on dry land. That's crazy to me. Huh. God is pretty awesome, eh?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Pretty dramatic story. Not quite as dramatic as do you ever see is it DreamWorks film, or was it DreamWorks? Whatever it was. Prince of Egypt.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
The wind doesn't happen all night. It just, happens in like 30 seconds or like 20 seconds. And all of a sudden there's like
walls of water.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Have you ever walked through walls of water?
At the zoo.
Yeah. How did that happen?
The polar bear tunnels?
Oh, yes.
That's like walls of water. Man.
Like if you're not from Winnipeg and you visit Winnipeg, go to the Churchill exit. What's it called? Pathway to Churchill, Discover Churchill,
something like that.
Churchill something or another at the Assiniboine Zoo. That is cool. Yeah. That's neat, having the water all around you. I wonder if that's how the Israelites found. Okay.
And another one with the Israelites in the desert in Numbers 11. Now there went forth a wind from the Lord, and it brought quail from the sea, and let them fall beside the camp, about a day's journey on this side, and a day's journey on the other side, all around the camp, and about 2 cubits deep on the surface of the ground.
Wow. Like as I'm listening to these, God's moving things through the wind. You know, like there is something that is actually, when you think of it, like there's something coming from it. Like God's using this to bring in quail to, you know, for judgment or to demonstrate his power with the locusts, standing up the water. Yeah. And so there's something that's, you know, the wind isn't just kind of moving, just, you know, tussling your hair. That's not what it's for. It's actually ushering in something. Yeah. God, wow. And here in this case, God's provision. Quail, right?
Yeah. It's a lot of quail.
That is a lot of quail.
So all around the camp, about 2 cubits deep on the surface of the ground.
Do we know what a cubit is?
I can't remember.
I wasn't prepared to answer that question of myself that I spontaneously asked. But that's it sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's a lot of quail.
Must have been quite the wind.
Yeah.
Another example is in Jonah. 2 examples in Jonah. The first one in the first chapter, the Lord hurled a great wind on the sea, and there was a great storm on the sea, so that the ship was about to break up. So again, like a powerful wind, catastrophic event.
The breaking up of the ship, like a wind so strong that the ship is about to talk about terrifying. So you're in this environment, and it's powerful enough that what you feel is going to hold you is actually about to break. And we're going to touch on another one, not to, you know, get ahead of ourselves here, but and then if that breaks, you're into an environment. We're not made to live in the water, right? So that's, you know, a threatening environment. So this storm causing this to be, which in this case was a bit of judgment on Jonah and getting his attention, turning him around, right?
And then the second example in Jonah is Jonah 4. When the sun, this is when Jonah is over in Nineveh, and he's talked to the Ninevites about God's judgment, and then so afterwards, then it says, when the sun came up, God appointed a scorching east wind, and the sun beat down on Jonah's head so that he became faint and begged with all his soul to die, saying, death is better to me than life.
There he was, dejected and grumpy, and that sun beating down on him. He had the sun beating down on him, scorching him, and then there was like a
scorching east wind.
Why do all the winds come from the east?
It's actually a common thing with east and west.
Yeah, it's true. Like if normally here, our storms end up coming from the west or from the southwest is kind of the normal flow of traffic patterns, weather patterns. But if there's something coming in from the southeast, then it's going to be nasty. Usually we have keep an eye out for that. If you see the storm clouds gathering in the east and coming this way, look out. Take cover, my friends. Take cover.
Yeah. And then now we're getting into the New Testament.
Okay.
With Jesus. The example with the disciples and Jesus on the boat.
Okay.
This one comes from Mark. That day when evening came, he said to his disciples, let us go over to the other side. Leaving the crowd behind, they took him along, just as he was in the boat. There were also other boats with him. A furious squall came up, and the waves broke over the boat, so that it was nearly swamped. Jesus was in the stern, sleeping on a cushion. The disciples woke him and said to him, Teacher, don't you care if we drown? He got up, rebuked the wind, and said to the waves, Quiet! Be still! Then the wind died down, and it was completely calm. He said to his disciples, "Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" They were terrified and asked each other, "Who is this? Even the wind and the waves obey him." You know, I've got to think that the disciples kind of being steeped in the knowledge of the Torah, like they've got to know about like these examples from the Old Testament of God being the one who's commanding nature for his own purposes.
Yeah.
And when they see this man who has, a face and limbs and a body, like this man has this same control as the God of the Old Testament. And so when they say, "Who is this?" You've got to think that they've got something triggering in their mind, thinking, this has got to be who God has been talking about with his prophets about a Messiah coming.
Like they were terrified. Like it almost like they were like they were upset with Jesus that he's like, "Don't you care?" And I just like, these are like, we got all these, these few simple, this one verse and these few simple words, but that exchange was Jesus like, "Oh, come on, you guys, what are you thinking?" Or is he like, "Get up, quiet, be still"? It's like, if you're a mom listening, you've said those words, right? And you're hoping they have just as much effect in your quiet, be still. Not to make fun of this, but just that the authority, and then the winds died down and it was completely calm. And I imagine the disciples are like not sure what to say. Like, did you like just see that? Did you hear that? There's probably the water still kind of, balancing in the boat that had sloshed over the boat, that they were terrified. Jesus' authority. Yeah. Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith? Those are challenging questions from Jesus. Like, have you, like, why are you so afraid? There's a lot of things that we're afraid about, or afraid of. There are things that make us nervous, things that are just outright scary. And it's beyond just being uncomfortable. It's like a gripping fear, and an environment that the disciples were familiar with, like Peter and James and John, and they were out in the boats all the time. But Jesus breaks like that away, and he demonstrates his authority that he had exercised in the Old Testament, but now here in flesh and blood, with his disciples. It just must have been a moment. We hope that that today there'll be some measure of calmness for you in your life. Maybe there are some things that are terrifying you, some things that are upsetting, some things that are concerning, and beyond concerning, they've really got you, like your stomach is in knots, and you're not even sure what to do, perhaps, and you're just scared. I really pray and hope that you'll remember this story and the authority that God has, and that in some way, God will demonstrate that to you today, that he has authority even over the wind, So next time you're enjoying that morning of calmness, thank God for the calmness, and that he can bring that. And I pray that above all to the physical state that you find yourself in, but more so to your heart, that there will be a calmness and a peace within your soul, knowing that it is Jesus who has saved you ultimately from sin and death and into a glorious hope, that one day we're going to enjoy his glory forever. And I hope that you listening have that hope within you, that you've invited Jesus into your heart, that by faith you've accepted him as your Savior. Yeah, thanks for joining us this week. We really hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, glorious day. Enjoy this morning, and enjoy the rest of your day.
All right.
Thanks for joining us.
Yep. See ya.
All right. Bye.